Well, hello there. I think I am live, and I don't know if you can see the Hawaiian shirt. Yeah, I'm sure you can. But it was about, I don't know, 8 degrees yesterday. It's really cold at the time of doing this Facebook Live. Today, I think it's gotten a lot warmer. It's probably doubled. It's probably 16 degrees. But I wore a Hawaiian shirt to kind of fake my way through the cold. In any case, my name is Jamie J. I am the managing director and founder of Bottleneck Virtual Assistants, where we help stop the bottleneck in your business. And this is a Facebook Live that I try to do every Thursday. And just wanted to take some time today and talk about the pros and cons of hiring a team of virtual assistants and some of the things that you can look for, and whether or not it's a team and it's just a certain person. Some of these pros and cons apply to either or. But to give you a little background or context, we have a staff here at Bottleneck of 14. And check that, 15 now. We have 15 here. And what we do is there are various positions within the organization. We have web developers, and we have audio editor, video editors, graphic designers, writers. I have a personal assistant. We have an operations manager, an account manager, different things like that, right? So there's different roles and responsibilities for each. But I do practice what I preach, in that the entire company is run remotely with remote assistants, virtual assistants, and some in the US, majority in the Philippines. And so I thought this would be a really cool topic, and thank you to Christine, our social media manager, and the marketing team, Roanne and Karen and Yang. It's fantastic coming up with this idea, because I think this is important to relay to a lot of people. So what I want to do today is basically tell you some of the pros and some of the cons in working with, companies staff that are virtual or remote. I think it's something that a lot of people are hesitant because they don't really know what to expect. So let me jump into it today. So there's a couple things that I want to talk about. No, let's talk about the cons first. So what are some of the things that are challenging when it comes to managing a remote team? Well, one of the things is that people are used to is you're not face-to-face. So that might be challenging. People communicate via email and things like that. We use a lot of Zoom meetings or video conference calling, and we meet with our team a couple times a week. So that really helps the situation. But we also use project management software. In our case, we use a software called Basecamp, and it's fantastic. Again, it's going back and forth via typing and text and imagery. So if we do need to talk to each other, we can hop on a Zoom call, things like that. One of the other things is people a lot of entrepreneurs, they're kind of lonely, right? It might be a little lonely. And so working from home or from a remote location, you're not in an office environment, so you don't have that social connectivity that you would typically find in a brick and mortar. Some of the other things is maybe a lack of trust. And the reason I bring up lack of trust is there's a lot of personal information that can be shared. And we all know in this day and age, that protecting information is very, very important. Personal information, client information. If you have a personal assistant that may be booking travel for you and they need access to a credit card, that's kind of scary to hand off someone in a remote location. Is my information going to be safe? In the medical industry, there's HIPAA compliancy. Oh my gosh. That's a whole nother ballgame. So there's concerns around that as well. And I totally get that. This is something that is addressed quite a bit during our consultations. So that's one of the cons. And I'll go into telling you about some pros, but one of the things that we use for that, just so you know, as a company, is a software system called LastPass.com, LASTPASS.com. There's a free version to it. You can actually give someone access to your social media accounts, to different other accounts, and they never even see what your password is. It's a pretty neat concept. Maybe something that is pretty big, especially for us, is cultural differences. As you may or may not know, I have a podcast called Culture Eats Strategy, inspired by the late, great Peter Drucker, and also recommended to me by my good friend, Christopher Lockhead. Thank you. And I'm really big into culture. A lot of our virtual assistants, I would say most of them, are from the Philippines. And so people are concerned. Do they speak the language? What kind of culture? What are their belief systems? Will it align with my core values? This is a concern that is definitely justified. And we have answers for that. So that could be a con, because there could be miscommunications, or they may misunderstand directions, or what certain words mean, or what the context is in the way they pronounce something. They could say record, but they mean record, right? Little things like these, little nuances, but we're here to help you with that as well. And we have a full vetting process in place and all that kind of stuff. So that could be one. One of the other things that I thought might be a con is the loss of team spirit. And I just want to give a special shout out to Forbes and Sebastian Bailey, who wrote an article called How to Beat the 5 Killers of Virtual Working. And he did a great job of identifying and writing these out. So if you get a chance, you can go to Forbes and search that. And then he has a lot of bullet points and he elaborates on these things. So I'm just going to touch on the basis. But loss of team spirit, this goes back to culture. Okay. And one of the things that can be challenging is finding the time to consistently communicate with your team, and more importantly, allow them opportunities to provide feedback, to provide ideas, things like that. So these are some of the cons. Now let's jump into the pros. And there's a ton of advantages to working with a remote team. And number one, first and foremost, is when you're scaling a company, costs, every little piece. I was just on a call today with one of our vendors, and I had to upgrade because I needed access, a little bit more access. And it wasn't very much. But when you start taking all those costs for that software there and that software there, it gets pretty expensive, right? So I'm very cognizant of that. And by hiring virtually or remotely, especially going through the Philippines because of the economic differences, I'm here in the US, and in the Philippines is pretty drastic. Our cost of living is approximately 75% more than their cost of living here. So lower costs is huge. So if you think about it, when you talk about lower costs, lower office costs, you don't have to get a brick and mortar. You can work out of your home. You don't have to have extra computers and desk space and all the other things that come along with insurance and FICA and all of that stuff if they're not a W-2, right? And so there's a lot of benefits for lower office costs. Another thing is, with the onset of the World Wide Web, you get access to a humongous talent pool. There's tons of highly skilled candidates. And as a matter of fact, for Bottleneck, our candidates that we work with here, when we go through our initial sourcing phase and our vetting process, our candidates, we look to see that they're college graduates. This is huge, because you can hire somebody that has committed to a goal, achieved that goal, and they're very, very anxious in moving forward and securing a position. So greater availability of talent. The other thing is a lot of people like working from home because if they have to go to the dentist office, they go to the dentist office. If they have to take their kid to school, they take their kid to school. Their schedule is a lot more flexible. Now you can still tell them, hey, I need you to work from 8 to 5, all of that, but they can still take advantage of having the flexibility of working from home, which helps retain employees or staff members for a longer time because they're happier, right? Of course, I touched on the lower cost of employees. Since we're working in the Philippines, what's really nice is we don't have to worry about FICA. Some of the challenges and concerns I've heard from some of our clients is, ultimately sometimes, it just doesn't work out and they have to let somebody go. Well, then you're talking about workers' compensation. This could be up to 75% of what their salary was for the next 6 months. You can see how expensive that is. Just to hire somebody in the US, it costs over $4,000. To fire somebody can cost you up to 9 months of salary. It's crazy. So you won't experience that in the Philippines. So there's definitely a lower employee cost because of the economic differences as well. You also have less unnecessary meetings. I know from my experience, when I started out in corporate America, I had a nickname of JT because I couldn't stand to go to meetings. JT stands for Jamie time. The meetings for me were, it was just daggers. And so we have 2 separate meetings here at Bottleneck. One is the entire staff every Tuesday, and then one is the marketing team every Thursday. So while our meetings are very necessary, we have very interactive meetings. Everybody gets to talk. Everybody gets feedback. It's an amazing culture. So you kind of get away from that. Having a remote team, you get away from the unnecessary meetings all the time. Something else that's that I like, my commute is about 5 minutes. On the days that we don't automatically set the coffee maker, it could be up to 10 minutes, meaning I go from the bedroom out to the coffee maker into the office. It's really nice. You don't have to worry about getting up, going through traffic, all the fuel, all the time you spend so much more time with your family. So that's one of the big benefits. Another thing is you have access to multiple markets. You can hire people in the Philippines. Yes, there is a time difference. I am Central Time in the Philippines. They're 14 hours ahead of us. But when we source according to what it is you're looking for, your goals, your desires. And so if you want somebody to work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time, we'll source for that. And in the Philippines, there's 3 shifts. So that's considered the 3rd shift in the Philippines. And people are very used to that. And like I said, it's a 24-hour workday. So there's a ton of different benefits in hiring a remote staff. There are also some cons, and I think that's important to understand. So if you'd like to set up a time to learn more about Bottleneck and Bottleneck Virtual Assistants and how we can help stop the bottleneck in your business, please feel free to go to bottleneck.online/inquiry and set up a time. It's a really quick form there. And that will will reply back with an email and a link to where you can set up a time to talk with me or someone on our amazing staff. And we would be happy to help answer all of your questions and go into more detail there. So thank you so much for tuning into this Facebook Live. My name is Jaime J, and I'm the founder and managing director of Bottleneck Virtual Assistants. Have a fantastic day, and let us help you stop the bottleneck in your business. All right. Have a good one.